Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Express Homebuyers Wholesaling Meetup. We got a good crowd tonight. How many folks are new tonight? Okay, cool. So some of you guys are going to hear the first couple slides again. We are doing something different tonight, which we're super excited about. Well, actually, we're going to do a bunch of things different tonight. It's going to be an awesome meeting. I hope you guys walk out here like last time saying, wow, that was amazing. So we're doing Facebook Live tonight. So instead of just giving this content to the 50 or so people in this room, I bet by the end of this we've got thousands of people watching this Facebook Live, and if not, hopefully they'll share it and thousands will see it. So welcome, welcome. We're going to go over, we're probably going to go through like 10 slides, and then we're going to do something we did approximately 3 meetings ago. Who was here when we did the hot seat? Okay, oh great, so we only had three or four people. We're going to do the hot seat again, and the hot seat is, you guys will come up here, present any obstacles that you have in your real estate business and that's keeping you from reaching your real estate goals, and I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to chew them up and I'm going to spit them out. So when you walk out of here, you got a different frame of reference saying there's absolutely nothing that I can't accomplish because I sat in your seat 13 years ago, and I'll get into that in a second, but I sat in your seat 13 years ago, saw all these people doing deals, and said, if I can do it, if these people can do it, I can do it. So, and here I am 2,000 deals later, and I've done it. So you guys can do it. I'm gonna hopefully help you guys reset your do a mindset shift. So let's get going. So who am I and why am I sitting up here? My name is Brad Chandler, of course. I read a book when I was in 9th grade. I'm gonna try to put this in here because I got another mic. Can everyone still hear me okay? Can you hear me in the back okay? All right. So I read a book when I was in 9th grade on how to buy real estate with no money down by Robert Allen. Anyone ever read that book? Yeah. I think it came out in like the 80s. Robert Allen has certainly had his success, and he's just like most of us, run into some tough times, but he always seems to surface again. So thank you to him for getting me started. In 2002, an investor bought my neighbor's house in Vienna, and I went over and I talked with him. And he said, yeah, I buy houses from motivated sellers at a discount, I fix them up and I resell them. So at that time I had an undergraduate degree in residential property management and an MBA in real estate, and I had sat for my real estate license. I never got it, but I passed the exam. And I said, you know, no one ever taught me that you could buy steeply discounted real estate. So, wow, that's amazing. I thought you got rich in real estate by putting 20% down, buying a house, paying it off, getting the rent, and then hopefully appreciate. That's how I thought I was going to become wealthy in real estate. I didn't even know this fix and flip thing. So thank God I ran into him. That was in October, November, December of 2002. I made up my mind that I was going to do this full time. I was going to make a run at this, and I was going to make it work. So I would work a full-time job. I was actually working here in Springfield with a local developer. I'd work until 6 o'clock. I'd come home. My son was just born. I'd put him to bed, and 8 o'clock to midnight, I'd work. And I would, everything. We were out when the sniper was firing. We were out putting bandit signs out. I was hand addressing hundreds of envelopes. I mean, you name it, I was door knocking, I was doing everything. Every day that went by without a deal, I got more and more persistent because I kept coming to these meetings. Back then, there was no Meetup. It was the RIA. So everyone's been to a RIA, heard of a RIA. So every time I go there, I'd see these people, they'd stand up in the room, it was called Deals Corner at the beginning, they'd say these great deals they were doing. And I'm like, gosh, instead of quitting, I kept going. Every day I kept saying, I'm getting more and more dedicated, more and more persistent. So that was in December that I decided to. It wasn't until July of the next year, so it took me 8 months to find my first deal. In July and August of that year, somehow I bought 6 deals, and in October I said, goodbye to my boss, sayonara, I'm done. I'm done with the job. And I started Express Homebuyers, and here we are 2,000 deals later. So I tell you that other point right below there, I started out with a negative $80,000 net worth. I didn't have a lot of money. So the things that I teach you guys and have taught you guys, I was in the same position you were. I had no money. Like, I was hand addressing envelopes because I couldn't afford to get them printed. I had $80,000 debt that I had to, and at the time I wasn't making a ton of money. So I tell you all this stuff not to brag, but so you guys can relate. I've been where you're sitting, and there's another side to this, but you got to follow our advice. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of investors and a lot of gurus teach that aren't right. So if you follow their advice and do it step by step, it will work for you. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but it will work. My mom loaned me my first, the money to buy my first house. It was a subject to deal. For those of you who don't know subject to, it's essentially buying a house where you don't have to come up with the cash because you keep the person's mortgage in place. So you actually buy the house and you own it, but the bank typically doesn't know that you buy it, so if you just keep paying them, they don't care. So I bought my first, she lent me $20,000. I flipped that house, be real careful of this cord right here. I flipped that house and I think made $40,000 on my first deal. And that was about what I was making for an entire year of working. So you can imagine when I got that check, I'm scratching my head thinking, what am I working for this guy for? I just made almost as much money in a 2-week transaction. Now it wasn't 2 weeks. I found it on a listserv. Is anyone know what a listserv is? Like a Google group? Well, back then it was Yahoo. Yahoo dominated. So this lady posted that she had a house for sale, and I went and talked to her, and like every investor, I offered too much. I underestimated the renovations. She turned me down. I came back 6 months later, and now I knew a little bit about the business. So instead of offering her 125 or 120, I said all I can pay you is 105. And she accepted it. It was actually, people beat us up a lot in this business, but this lady had 5 kids. She had, unfortunately, one of her kids drowned in the home in Manassas Park. She was taking her husband's paycheck and spending it on, I have no idea to this day what, but she had no money, and they were 7 days away from foreclosure. Had an investor like myself not stepped in, she told me my family would have been homeless. So when you hear about people giving us a bad, we have a bad reputation because some people aren't scrupulous, but we're not all unscrupulous, and we do help a lot of people. I've got countless testimonials, hours of video testimony of people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. So anyway, last slide on this one, the $1 million question, taught to me by Robert Sheeman. If you ask this question the rest of your life, it's, do you know anyone else that wants to buy or sell real estate? Do you know anyone, period? So the first deal that I did, the deal that I ended up getting a job, being able to quit my job on, I had bought a house in Arlington. And, excuse me, the Manassas house that I just talked about was my first deal. I put a We Buy Houses sign on there, but I sold it. I'd already sold it, but I kept the sign up there because you guys know I like marketing. So a lady calls me and says, can I buy the house? And I said, it's already sold. I could have easily hung up the phone, but I didn't. I said, do you know anyone else that wants to buy or sell a house? And she said, yes, my mom has a house in Arlington for sale. Well, how much? I think she wants $225,000 for it. Immediately bells were like boom, boom, boom. $225,000 in 2003 was still a good price in Arlington. So she's like, let me call my mom, I'll call you back. She called me back in 20 minutes and she said, I just talked my mom down to $185,000. So I bought that house. And because of that house, I met my partner Judd Allen because he lived in the neighborhood. Without meeting Judd, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have bought 2,000 houses. We have a great partnership, and we've had a great relationship, and we've helped each other in our weaknesses, and yada, yada, yada. So ask that question. You guys, I didn't have any money, so I had to ask that question. Now we can market and people come to us. But you guys run into people all the time. Have a card, have a little bonus on there that you'll pay them if they send you something, and just ask the question, do you know anyone who wants to buy or sell a house? It's as simple as that. So that's $1 million question. Don't forget it. This is my family. I got remarried 2 years ago in Mexico. We have 4 buckets to Express Homebuyers. One is our buy, fix, and sell. And for those of you who've been here, you can see we've added 1 and we're about to add 2, but I'll get to that in a second. So buy, fix, and sell is our primary business. Like I said, founded in 2003. I think we're somewhere around 2,100 houses so far. And we seem to be growing each year. We're doing more and more volume each year. Our second bucket, make sure we're on the right slide, is condo development. We're not doing a ton of this, but I just say this because if you guys come across a property in DC that's a multifamily, we are interested in looking at it. We have a full-service property management company with 80 units that we are selling. We've decided it's the right time in the market. We bought them primarily in 2010 to 2012. We're selling our entire portfolio. So if you know anyone who wants cash flowing rentals, you can go to ehbdeals.com, and I'll be putting that up in a second. And our fourth one, we've always kind of done it, but I've added as a bucket. Tom pointed out earlier because we're doing it on such a big scale. We're having tremendous success wholesaling deals. Have you guys all seen our new site, ehbdeals.com? Yes. It's on our Express Homebuyers portal. Phenomenal site that was put together by someone we know. It's a great place to go and find deals if you like them. So those are our 4 buckets, and I'll introduce one more bucket that we're going to be starting here very shortly. Core values, I'm just going to run through these really quickly. This is just to give newcomers a feel for who we are. These are the core values that we live by every day in our business and in our personal lives. Perseverance. I told you that. I've been living that since 2002 when I started. Fairness, humility, and confidence. If there's a problem, fix it. Learn and improve, candor, and then finally, work-life balance. So as you guys build businesses, you definitely have to have culture and you have to have core values. It's not something that you just sit down one day and say, I'm going to come up with the core values. It's really who you are at the core. So we really did our core values a year and a half ago. We'd already been in business 10 years. It's not like I could have made these up. We sat down as a management team and said, what are the things that we really embody as an organization? And these are the things that highlight. So when we hire people, just like you guys should do, we're not going to hire someone. When we look at candidates, humility and confidence, we'll just pick that one. If someone comes in and they're talking about how great they are and all the accomplishments they've done and they're the best in the world, they're not going to be a fit for us at Express Homebuyers. So just another tidbit, when you guys are growing your business, make sure that you're very clear on what your core values are and what you stand for as an individual and as a company, and make sure that those people's core values mesh that. It's really anything in life, relationships. You're not going to have a successful marriage if you marry someone whose core values are way different than yours. So, and we're going to have plenty of time at the end for questions. Tom, do you want to? Oh, we're already live. That's right. I forgot that. Okay, wholesaling. What is wholesaling? Wholesaling is I get a call from Joan, and Joan needs to sell her house. So I go over to Joan and I sign up for a house under contract. I get it for $100,000. I go to John. I go to John and I say, hey John, they're not married. We're using them. They're separated now here, living in different parts of the country. I say, hey John, I got this deal here that I want to sell for $125,000. Do you want it? And John says, looks at the numbers and says, yeah, I can renovate it for $50. I can sell it for $250. I'll do it. I say, okay, great. So I do an assignment of contract. It's a simple one-page form. I'm assigning the rights to buy Joan's house to John. So John shows up at closing. He writes a check for $125,000. The seller, the title company, gives the seller the $100,000, and they give me a $25,000 assignment fee. So everyone familiar with that? Everyone know what wholesaling is? So little to no money needed, very low risk, highly scalable, highly scalable, because you don't need a ton of money. You don't need to go raise a bunch of money. There's no money needed except for operating the business. There's no capital to actually buy the house. And you get paid immediately. You don't have to wait 6 months to renovate the house. You don't have to wait for the building permits, the inspectors, all that stuff to happen, because typically it's a cash buyer with no contingencies and they're just buying the house and moving on. So my initial thoughts on wholesaling, I told you guys I used to sit in this room back 13, 14, 15 years ago. My twisted view was that wholesaling was for the less sophisticated person, and when you got really smart, you would then go to rehabbing, which is completely not the case. I'm here to tell you that. And we've proved that in the last 60 days. We've absolutely crushed it. We've had 2 of the best months we've ever had because we've been focused on wholesaling. Rehabbing. What is rehabbing? Rehabbing is extremely capital intensive. I mean, at one point in time, just on the fix and flip business, we had $15 to $20 million out. That's a ton of money, ton of risk. A lot of it we signed personally for. You guys remember what happened in 2008? We woke up overnight and our portfolio was down by like $2 million. And we're like, oh my God, are we going to be able to sell this and get out of it? So extremely capital intensive, cost overruns. Who's renovated a house in here? Who's had cost overruns? Every single hand. Yeah.
Who doesn't? You're not
Yeah. Every single person has had cost overruns. Unknown variables, market changes due to long hold times. Well, when you bought a house in mid-2007 and it took you 6 to 8 months to buy it, I hope you underwrote a 10% decline or 5% decline. Things were going down like crazy. That doesn't happen with wholesaling. Wholesaling is market, it just happens immediately. The bottom line is higher risk for more potential upside, and potential should be bolded and highlighted there, because there's no guarantees. You can lose a lot. So education. If you guys haven't been to expresshomebuyers.com/category/wholesalers, a ton of great information there. We started this meetup group to give back We started this meetup group to help you guys generate deals. So that's what we've done from day one. We've given a ton of great content for asking nothing in return. It's all been give, 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 and hopefully that's helped you in some way, shape, or form. Bigger Pockets is an amazing resource. Sean Terry's podcast are an amazing resource. He's had 3 million downloads, 200 countries. Now, this is the fourth thing, the fourth bucket to Express Homebuyers, and now the new invest source is that after 13 years, we decided to get into coaching. So we decided to get into coaching. We want to do this on a national level. We are going to, this has nothing to do with the coaching part, but in a second we're going to hopefully have some volunteers to come up in the hot seat. And that's, for those of you guys who have seen it before, it's a great way to break down any obstacles that are happening to you. So Facebook Live community will get to see that as well. So bradchandler.com, that is our real estate investor training. That is coming. We don't ask me a whole lot of questions about the coaching program because I haven't figured it out. All I've done is that I have made a commitment that I hope in the month of April, that's our target date, we're going to start coaching. There's probably going to be a local component and a national component. So if you're interested in saying, hey, I'd love for you to coach me, just go there and sign up. I think there's 2 or 3 fields in that form. So real quick, Express Homebuyers / free dash coaching. I put the dash in there. I'm starting a podcast. And the reason is I think there's a real niche in what I'm going to do. Last meetup group, we had the best feedback of the 10 meetup groups of any. And who was here last meeting? Okay. So you guys remember what we did. You came in and had a bunch of obstacles and things that were standing in your way of reaching your real estate goals and dreams. And Tom and I literally systematically broke down every single one of them. We're going to do the same thing on the podcast. We're actually going to work with folks like yourself, folks like from around the country. And instead of me speaking about, hey, this is Express Homebuyers and we spend, I'm a little far away from Mike, we spend $2 million a year in marketing, some people can't relate to that. So I'm going to bring it all the way back down to when I started and I had no money. I had that negative $80,000 net worth. And we're going to break down the barriers with the hopes that folks like yourself all around the country will hear this and say, well, if this person can do it, or if this person got this piece of advice, that's exactly what I was looking for. So tonight's going to kind of be the start of that. We're going to have this live kind of question and action. We're going to need 20 to 30 minutes a session. So I'm hoping when we're ready for this that 2 or 3 people are going to raise their hands. Hopefully it's not someone who's been up here before. We'd like to get some new people. And again, this is a tremendous way. I don't know what the coaching is going to look like. It's going to be expensive though, because there's a huge need for good coaching. We're going to do things completely different as we always do. We're going to teach people from A to Z how to do it. We're going to make sure that they're successful. So point being is it could be $3,000, $5,000 a month. It could be a $100,000 yearly program. Tonight, you know what the fee is? Zero. You're getting my time that is going to be worth, again, $2,000 to $5,000 a month for an hour or 2 a month. You're going to get it tonight for free. So think about the folks in the crowd that want to come up. Think about your objections. Think about, not your objections, your obstacles. What is really keeping you from reaching your real estate goals? And then Tom and I are going to break them down and give you some actionable items that you can take out of here in the coming days, weeks, and months and actually implement to start reaching your goals that you want. Most of you guys know that the next one, it's expresshomebuyer.com submit deal. That is our form if you guys have a deal that you want to wholesale to us. Now, we've spent the last 3 months collecting over 10,000 buyers in this local market. And we plan to, you guys all know what a great job we do with finding motivated sellers. We're great at it. I think that's one of the things that we do better than anyone in the country is marketing. So we are going to start doing that to buyers. So we're going to dedicate $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month to finding buyers. So if you guys have a deal and you bring it to us and it's too skinny, it doesn't work, we're going to come to you and we don't have everything figured out here, but we're going to say, hey, do you want to put this on our site and co-wholesale it and there'll be some split? So more to come on that. If you don't have a huge buyers list and you don't want to go out and build a huge buyers list, this is a way to generate some nice, instant, quick cash. And then lastly, we mentioned this earlier, ehbdeals.com. Are there any realtors in the room? Any of you realtors work with cash buyers who are always looking for deals? the realtors have loved. I mean, we've sold a lot of product in the last 60 days to realtors whose cash clients can't find anything. MLS, there's not much inventory out there. We find the inventory, again, because we spend almost $2 million a year. So if you guys or your clients are looking for deals, check out ehbdeals.com. And the final slide is just the closed Facebook group. I mentioned this when you guys were walking in. If you gave Alex your name and email address at the beginning of the meeting or walking in, we're actually not going to invite you. You got to go to Facebook and type in Express Homebuyers Wholesale Meetup, and then we'll look on the list and see that you guys have signed up, and we'll let you in. A lot of great back and forth. If you guys have keep walking away from the mic, sorry. If you guys have any questions at all, we've been saying this now for however many months we've been doing this, 10 months. If you post that to the group, myself or Tom will answer it. Myself personally, I've been involved in over 5,000 real estate transactions. So do you know what the charge is on Facebook to ask me a question? 0. How many Facebook questions do I get a week? Almost 0. Guys, come on. Like if I were sitting in your shoes 13 years ago and John Peterson happened to be the gentleman who helped me through my first deal. You guys, anyone you know John Peterson? He runs a RIA group around here. Washington RIA. If he'd have given me, and Facebook didn't exist then, if he would have said to me, you can ask any question on Facebook, I would have had 5 questions a day up there. But every month I come in here and I say this, and we still hardly see any questions. Not sure why that is, but you guys are, you're blowing it in that respect, because I know everyone who's in here is not reaching their real estate goals. We're a free resource. Use it, because you never know the day I might say, I might start charging for that. I doubt it on Facebook, but come on guys, ask questions. Because when you ask a question, there's a good chance someone else in the room is going to have the same exact question, and we can help each other. And that's really the point of the transition. What we're going to do right now is not only helping yourself, but there's going to be people in this room that's like, yes, that's exactly the question I had. So we will hold questions till the end. Who in here is thick-skinned and would like to come up? A couple of caveats. You obviously are, if you can resize that, Tom, you're obviously going to be on Facebook, so hopefully there's no issue with that. You can't come up here and sit down and say, I've been thinking about real estate for a long time. You've got to be actionable. You've got to be out there doing something actionable, which means you've made offers, you've got bandit signs out, you've done marketing, whatever it is, but you have to have taken action. I don't want people here or on my podcast that are just at the stage where, hey, I'm thinking about it and I don't know and I can't get into it because I don't have money, so can you break down that objection? No, I'm not going to do that. I want people that have actually taken the step. So who is interested in being in the hot seat? Joan? All right, I'm going to see if I can tee up anyone else before we put you in the hot seat. Come on, guys. Just one person in this whole room? All right, we got one other taker. All right, I think maybe you guys are a little scared about how mean I'm going to be. I'm not going to be that mean. I won't bite you, but I will be. I'm going to tell it like it is. There's no hand holding here. We're all adults, and you guys are here to. There you go. We got one more, Valora. We got another brave soul. All right, Joan, you were the first to. So have a seat right there, please. I'm going to grab my water. So, Joan, thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk with us tonight. Where are you from, Joan?
Winchester, Virginia.
Winchester, Virginia. Okay. How long have you been real estate investing?
Almost a year.
Okay, almost a year. So tell me about, what is your obstacle? What is your struggle? What are you going through?
Well, right now, one of my biggest struggles is not enough inventory. We do actually work with a realtor to help us find deals. And we've put in offers, but the sellers are not motivated enough. I've heard that the area that we're working with is a seller's market. And so that's one of my obstacles that I'm dealing with. There's not a lot that needs, the houses that I'm finding with some real estate agents are too pretty, and then I'm finding the ones that, need work. And, I'm putting in offers but not getting deals.
Okay. So are you making offers in the Winchester market?
Yes.
Okay. So as most folks in this room probably know, most all of DC Metro is in a seller's market. What's a seller's market? It means the seller can do whatever they damn well please because there's low inventory. Buyers are scurrying to get deals, or forget deals. Buyers, homeowners that just want to jump in before the interest rates go up, everyone knows the interest rates are going up, want a house. So there's very tight inventory. We have never been a fan, nor have had any success with making MLS offers, with the exception of when the housing crash happened. So there was a month in 2010 where it was actually February of 2010 where we bought 24 REOs from banks. We stopped our marketing, we cut off our marketing machine because the deals were plentiful. Now we're in a seller's market. The inventory is ridiculously tight. So that would be one of, you guys have heard me say this before, finding MLS deals or spending your time there would be one of the last things that I would tell you to do. It is so competitive. And if an agent can find you a house, it most likely has to be really beat up. So they probably put in the comments, TLC needed, handyman, fixer-upper. Are those the kind of things you're seeing in the comment?
Yes.
So those are the buzzwords that every guru in the country teaches you to search for. Those are the buzzwords that the automatic searches are set up for. All those motivated seller house terms. So guess what? That's what everyone's going to be bidding on. So it is going to be extremely hard to make a business out of real estate investing, making offers on listed houses. It's just going to be impossible. So are you guys doing any marketing?
We've done bandit signs, and I have put some Craigslist ads from time to time and haven't gotten any responses off of the Craigslist. And we haven't gotten any responses from bandit signs either, but we're getting phone calls off of the sign that's on the side of our car that gives our information. So some of our marketing's working, and I guess some of it's not working as well. Okay,
so great. A couple points on that. So the first, maybe the second through the fifth deal, I told you guys I bought 6 deals in July and August of 2003. 3 of those were from a car sign. So the car sign cost you probably $50. I had huge magnets. I had like the Domino's pizza thing on the top of my car that after it flew off on the beltway a couple times with the heavy magnets, I'm like, I probably better not do that. So I stopped doing that. But the bandit signs, the magnetic bandit signs on your car look silly, but I got started with them. So you don't have a lot of money, those are the things you guys have to do. One of my favorite sayings is getting wealthy isn't hard, it's just doing things other people aren't willing to do. So I was willing to put these enormous, ugly yellow signs on my car. A lot of investors didn't do it. Guess what? I got 3 deals, and that propelled me to quit my job. So they were actually all 3 in Martinsburg, West Virginia, of all places. One was a mobile home, first and ever mobile home I've ever bought. One was an apartment that the guy's brother was in, and he couldn't get him out. You'll find we do a lot of deals with people who have family members or friends in houses, and they're scared to get them out. So anyway, not to get sidetracked. On your bandit signs, where are you placing them? How many are you putting out? And when are you putting them out?
We usually place them at like freeway off-ramps, so people will see them. Sometimes we'll place them near stores like Lowe's or Home Depot and stuff like that. We typically try to put them out on the weekends, like Friday night kind of thing. And that way, hopefully, they'll stay there a little while instead of putting them out at the beginning of the week.
Okay, how many are you putting out?
It's varied. Sometimes we'd put 25 out at a pop and then do another set after that.
Okay, and you're just leaving them up?
Leaving them up, typically.
Okay, so I would say, my expert days of bandit sign hanging have been a couple, 12, 13 years ago. Okay. But we used to put out, my partner Judd and I, when we go out we'd go from like 10 to 12 at night. I think our goal was to put 100 out.
Okay.
We would staple them high up on telephone poles. Yes, we would get fined. Yes, we would get people calling us. We don't do it anymore. But it is a source of deals, guys. Bandit signs are a source of deals. You need to check with your local municipality to make sure. Most places don't allow them. You can put them up on Friday and take them down on Sunday afternoons. Vienna, very tough. Alexandria, very tough. The city of Frederick once showed up with $2,000 worth of fines. The city manager actually drove to our office in Springfield to hand deliver those. Very nice of him because he couldn't find me for some reason. Not that I was all over TV. So they work though. They work, and they're a cheap source. So if you're new, I would highly recommend them. Just like with any marketing, you need to do it with consistency. You can't put up a sign and then think you're going to get a deal. You may have to put up 100 signs, and you may have to make sure they're up week after week after week after week. You guys heard me say it took me from December to July 8 months to find my first deal. So you guys may need to put up bandits. It may take you 9 months, but you got to do it consistently. What is when the phone rings, what does a bandit sign say?
We buy houses in any condition, and then it gives our phone number.
What's the phone number?
It's our Google Voice phone number.
An 800 number?
No, it's Google Voice. It's just like a 714 number for California because that's where we got started.
Okay, so that's a big problem. Someone sees a 714 number, they're like, what is 714? You're better off with a local number. So are you guys 540 and 703?
No, I've got a 434 number, which is
Winchester's
Central,
now 434?
No, that's Central Virginia.
Okay, so
he's got 540.
Okay, so I think Winchester is 540. Anyone know? It's mostly 540. So you should have a 540. We used to do 800 numbers, which are better than a like California number is just the worst. Like don't do that. Get rid of those signs immediately. That might be a reason which like 914. Where am I calling? Who are these people? Are they going to scam me? A lot of times people call us. The first question they ask is, how does this work? How does this work? Is it too good to be true? Like, how can you really buy my house in 7 days? So all you're doing is you're adding on a layer of complexity and skepticism that you don't have to. So get a 540 number, go buy 200, 500 bandit signs and put them out on a regular basis. Get the double-sided. I like yellow with black writing. We buy houses. I'm not even sure you have to put any condition, because if you put any condition, that means you've got to get the font lower on the phone number, which is the most important thing. And then we buy houses. So I would redo it. I get we buy houses and get yourself a 540. Local people, these people are local. There's no skepticism there. When the phone rings, who's answering it? Where does it go?
Usually I'll answer it, but there's times that it goes to the voicemail. Okay.
Is this your full-time thing, or do you have a job?
This is our full-time thing at this point.
Okay, so do you answer 20% of the calls, 98% of the calls? Do you have any idea how many calls you answer?
The majority of them.
The majority.
Answer, yeah.
Okay. A voicemail is a killer. Like, avoid voicemail at all costs, because now we're in the internet age where people want things done yesterday. Who uses Uber? Who uses Uber religiously? Like, can you imagine having to wait for a taxi and take out your wallet? I mean, come on, like, the world has changed so much that people they just don't want to wait. So they don't want to wait. They don't want you to wait for a call back. No one likes to talk to a voicemail. So what we do is the phone rings 3 or 4 times, and if we don't pick it up, it rolls over to a call center, Pat Live in Tallahassee, Florida. They do a great job. So 100% of all our calls are answered live. Because the other thing is, when you leave a voicemail, if they leave a voicemail, you got to get back in touch with them. There was a time when Tom was spending, I think we ended up hiring another guy, Tom, because you came in my office one day and said, I'm spending like 80% of my time following up. We made a major shift in our business. I don't remember what it was, but it was in direct relation to, it was a direct cause of him spending so much of his time trying to follow up on the leads.
We had a cell phone, so on the weekends we had a cell phone. The phone would ring the phone would, on the weekends we'd have a phone, it would ring to this phone, and like we just couldn't do it, because then you're like checking the voicemail and you're going back, and it was just, we spent so much time, it was a huge waste. I think we would have, we were averaging 100 plus calls a day, so times that by 7, times it by 4, and the math adds up.
So lesson learned is, don't use voicemail, and figure out a way to have the calls roll over. It's very cheap. Or again, you guys have heard me say countless times, this is the greatest time in the world to start and run and grow a business because of technology costs and labor costs. You can use VAs. There's a company out of, I don't know that I'm going to recommend them, but there's a company, there are companies out there that you can hire full-time VAs for $4.50 an hour, and you can hire part-time VAs for $5 an hour. And there are some good ones on that payroll. You just have to find them. So there's no reason where a lot of these stuff that you're doing, that you're doing $10, $15 an hour things, you should have someone else doing, and you should be building the business. You should be doing the dollar-producing, higher dollar activities. So they can answer your phone. You can call Pat Live. When I called Pat Live, they told me the greatest discount was the Ron LeGrand discount. So you can do that. When you actually do get someone, what, if any, follow-up system are you putting them into?
I don't really have a follow-up system at this point.
Okay.
I haven't gotten a lot of calls yet.
Okay. So you guys have heard me say this a bunch of times too. Don't spend a dime in marketing until you have a follow-up system in place. countless ones. You can go back to Express Homebuyers, that category. Can you put those please, those URLs? The wholesaler thing, the first, who was at, was anyone here for the first 2 meetups we did on how to find motivated sellers on a beer or champagne budget? Anyone? No one was here for the first 2 sessions? Okay, so we talked a lot about that. I completely lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Follow-up systems. Oh, so there's Podio. There's a guy in Baltimore, Dan, who has Investor Fuse. I think it's a couple $100 a month. But what he's done is he's completely built it out. If you can't or don't want to spend $200 a month, again, this is why it's the greatest time to start or grow a business, because you can get Sugar CRM, you can get Zoho CRM for $19, $20 a month. So even though you're only having a couple leads, I still would give you the advice to set your foundation. It's like building a house where you try to start putting the drywall up and you don't have the foundation set. Okay. You've got to, everyone in this room, this is advice for everyone. If you don't have a follow-up system, stop marketing, spend your dollars on the follow-up system, and the time it's taking to market, spend your time on creating that follow-up system. And all it is a sequence when someone comes in, how you should be following up. We did a whole presentation on follow-up. We follow up like crazy, crazy, crazy. You guys should be doing the same thing all over them. So anything that I haven't asked you that you think is helpful that you're doing or not doing in a real estate business that I could comment on?
Well, we're also, with looking at the MLS, we are looking at REOs, the bank owns, to see if we can, be able to get a deal that way. Trying to think of what else.
So looking at REOs, everyone in the world is looking at REOs. Local people that want to be investing, foreign investors who want to be in the DC market, probably the first thing they're going to look is at REOs. You're going to have such a hard time finding an REO deal. First of all, there's just not many out there. So when one pops up, they're going to get flooded with offers.
I got one.
You got an REO?
Yeah, 57 in Baltimore.
Okay, in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Okay, so Baltimore, we're not talking about Baltimore here. We're talking about Virginia.
Later.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, to break down Joan's issues, I think, is that complete wrong focus on where she's marketing to. Is that something you guys were taught, or is it something you guys just came up with?
We've learned some of the information.
Okay, so the problem, and this is one of the reasons that we're getting into coaching, is because certain people in the United States will claim to be real estate experts, and they'll sell these programs on how to make MLS offers, and yes, it will work in your market, because what else are they going to say? No, it's not going to work in the hot markets? No, because they wouldn't sell anything. So they're selling these products to you guys, to investors around the country, and some of them just flat don't work. MLS offers in this market flat don't work right now. Will they work when the market tanks? Yes, they'll work again, but they don't work now. So as business owners and real estate investors, you've got to shift with the times, or you're going to be out of business. So forget making MLS offers right now. It's very, very, very hard and very competitive. Can you do it? Yeah, you can do it, but you probably have to put in 1,000 offers, hundreds of offers, and maybe you'll get lucky. So stop that. Get your follow-up systems and do consistent marketing. Bandit signs are good, but I think you need to take it one step further, and you need to do a targeted direct mail list. Okay. You need to do a direct mail list, buy a list from ListSource that has equity, can be absentee owner, which means they don't live in the property, they're a landlord, or it can be an owner occupied. Just make sure they have equity, because in order to buy a house, you have to have equity. Okay. All right, was that helpful?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Joan. So the question in the back of the room, and I'll answer this one, and then you guys write down all your questions, and we'll answer them all. And possibly, if we run out of questions, we'll go to Facebook Live. So if you guys had a question about the talk I just had with Joan, just take a note of it, and we'll try to answer these questions at the end. So your question was, how many direct mail pieces should she be spending out? And the real answer is, how much money does she have? So you guys, as business owners, and you're all business owners if you're in this business, you gotta have that mindset that you're a real estate investor. When someone asks you what you do, I buy houses. Come up with something catchy. So in 30 seconds, if the old elevator pitch, you can tell them exactly what you do within 30 seconds. You guys need to craft that. So as a business owner, we look at it and we say, we've got to form a budget. So we look at our numbers and we say we can afford to spend this much on marketing. I don't know what Joan has available to spend, but let's just say that it's $500. If you can only send out one mail piece, you're wasting your time. So you need to figure out what you can spend over a 6-month period, and then you've got a budget for at least 4 mailings to the same address. So you just back into the number. What does it cost to send a postcard? It costs us 32 cents because we send close to 150,000. I don't know what let's say it costs you guys 50 cents, worst case. You just figure out with your budget how many can you send each month, and then you mail the maximum each month. Does that make sense? So it's really individual. When I started out, I didn't have money, so I had to handwrite the letters. So I would sit down on a table, the kitchen table on a weekend, and I think I would hand address like 300. So I couldn't write any more, and then I'd send them out. I've told you guys the story before. My sister was a stay-at-home mom in 2003 when I was trying to build a business, and she kept sending out letters to people. And we didn't have money to buy a list. She hand addressed the envelopes, and I got a call one day, and the lady said, I wasn't planning on selling my house, but I just got it was either 6th or 7th letter, and I'll sell my house. Guess what? She had tenants in the property that she didn't want to move. I don't want to kick them out. I'm like, I can't believe it, because these people, in my opinion, are basically taking money out of your pocket and your family's pocket. But for some reason, some people.
They can't see you online.
So sorry.
I think you're going to go for 5 minutes. So.
Some people are. I hope they're going to be able to see me sitting down. I'll sit back down. Some people are just really hesitant to kick out people that they know. So that was the reason for that story. Is it good now? Are we good now? The reason for that story is that had my sister sent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters, I wouldn't have made, I think I made $38,000 or $40,000 on that deal. All I did was get the tenant out, and I think I relisted the property. So when I talk about so much greatness has happened just when the person was about to give up. Jack Canfield, his famous book, Chicken Soup for the Soul, I think it took him 121 publishers to get that book done. So you can imagine if he stopped at anywhere between number 10 publisher and 120 publisher, he wouldn't be what he's changed the world now. I mean, in his own way, he's changed the world. His book, Success Principles, if you haven't read it, it's about yay thick. Get it on Audible, listen to it on 2X like I do all the books I listen to. It's a phenomenal book on how to be successful. It gives you all kinds of practices and techniques on how to be successful. Jack Canfield, Success Principles, and now he's probably changed thousands and thousands of people's lives with just his message and his he's just got some great teaching and great education. So who's going to be number 2 in the hot seat?
I guess I could.
No, I'm sorry. Come on up. It's pronounced Valora?
It is.
All right. How are you? Good to see you.
Well, how are you?
Awesome. All right. So tell me, where do you live and where are you investing?
I'm in D.C., and I'm focusing on D.C. and PG County in Maryland.
Okay. So tell me, what obstacles are you finding that are keeping you from reaching your real estate investing goals?
Well, just to give you a little bit of an idea of where I'm at. So I have started doing it full-time as of about 3 weeks ago. So part of my challenge is the passing of time. The things that I'm working on now, I started for marketing a probate campaign in DC, where I went down and got all the addresses for the last few months from the courthouse, doing Driving for Dollars. I bought a list for inherited properties in PG County, and then put some ads on Craigslist. I'm a realtor in DC, and so you're going to love this after all you said about the MLS, but without calls coming in, I have been looking at MLS deals, focusing on properties that have been on the market for more than 180 days, that have had significant price reductions within the last 2 to 3 weeks. And then I've gone out to those different properties to actually evaluate them. I've also tried to work with other local experienced investors. Oh.
Can you hand me that mic too, and I'll just hold both of them? Oh no, thank you because I'm so
try
glad
to speak up, too.
glad you spoke up, because if you couldn't hear, other people couldn't hear. You know what? I'll just hold it, Tom, if you want to. You want to hold it and then just pass it back to me? I speak pretty loudly, so.
So various marketing campaigns, attempting to work through the MLS based on the specific focal points. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, a lot of great things that we're going to break down one by one. I forgot to ask on Facebook, if anyone out there likes this, could you please like it, share it with your real estate investor buddies, anyone who's out there who could possibly use this information, please share it. Thanks so much. All right, so I heard a lot of great things in there, so I want to just take it step by step. The first thing you said, can you tell me again the first thing that you said that you were doing? You went
probate
to
in DC.
Probate in DC. So you're going to the DC courthouse, you're pulling probate.
I am.
Okay. Awesome niche. You will get deals that way. However, it is highly competitive. There's going to be a lot of people doing it. So how are you going to be different from everyone else out there? What is the message that you're sending these folks?
You mean as far as the message in the letter?
The message in the letter, yeah.
Explaining what I do, that I buy the distressed thing, that others in this area have found that helpful. For me, I generally, with probate, I feel there's a need to be sensitive. Maybe that's just because I'm newer at it, but given what they're experiencing, I'm not wanting to come on too strong. Maybe that's a plus, maybe that's not.
So that's something that no one can answer because each person's individual. I've heard investors who've had success with taking they don't say anything about probate and they just say, we want to buy a house, and it just happens to be they think that person will say, oh, someone sent us a letter, let's sell the estate. And then I've heard other people who have success actually offering condolences, being a lot softer. When are you sending out these letters? Like if probate happens February 1st, when are the letters going out?
So I'm going there every other week. To start off, I had just accumulated the December and January probate lists and sent that out as a first campaign. And then, so actually tomorrow, I'll be going down there to gather from them the last 2 weeks and then adding on to the computer.
Okay. How long do you plan to mail these folks? How many times?
For each of them that I mentioned, 5 touch is what I'm planning.
5 touch, okay. And how long of a duration?
Every 3 weeks.
Okay, so every 3 weeks. So that would mean 15 weeks. That's not enough time.
Okay.
There are, and again, I'm going to give you guys a ton of different information from investors that I know around the country and what we've experienced. You have some people that say you need to be the first out of the gate. You need to be the ones who are sending the letter the second that it happens. I also know someone who's an expert in direct mail in Texas, and he likes to wait 12 months because by that time, most investors have stopped. So if you're only doing 15 weeks, it's way too. There are people, we've bought houses from people that have been in the States for years. So what I would do is I would try to get to them immediately. I would send them a series of letters probably every 30 days for the first, I don't know, I probably would send 6 for the first six months. And then I might space them out every 60 days, probably going out 18 months. And you'll be shocked because so many investors, just like with everything else, that deal that I bought in Manassas Park, it was on a listserv with 300 people. Who was the one guy that followed up? Me. I followed up. No one else did. So I think that's great. What are you doing? Are you doing anything in terms of calling?
I haven't yet.
Okay. So if you guys want to increase your results from your direct mail, you can call. So in DC, unless things have changed, when we pulled them and we don't do it anymore, they had phone numbers of the personal representatives.
They do.
So you can call the personal representative. What I like to do is, hey, Mr. Smith, I sent you a letter a couple of weeks ago regarding the estate. I was just following up. Similar to what your letter says, I understand this is a difficult time. I offer my condolences, and I'd like to know if there's anything I can do. I buy a lot of houses from folks going through probate. We make this process really simple. We buy as is. There's no contingencies. You don't have to fix up the house. You don't have to pay a realtor. We'll help you. Would you like us to make an offer on your property? Something really simple like that. So anytime you can do that with direct mail, it does add a layer of complexity because you need to go buy the phone numbers, you need to track down the people, and it just takes time and resources. But it will definitely increase. And nowadays, you can buy phone numbers for any list. Again, back when I was starting, it was really, really hard to get phone numbers. Now it's a lot easier to get phone numbers. So when they call, who's answering it? Where's it going? What type of follow-up do you have?
I'm answering.
Okay. What percentage of calls do you think you answer?
I've either been able to answer each or follow up from the voicemail.
Okay, so they're just going to a regular voicemail? Okay, so I'm not going to reiterate what I said, but that's a big no-no. You got to get those calls answered live, and you'll see results from that. Your second second list or
Driving for dollars.
Driving for dollars. Okay, so what
DC.
does that look like? What are you doing driving for dollars?
I've targeted specific neighborhoods within DC, and then have gone to identify different properties that are obviously distressed based on the exterior of the house, and then have gone into the DC property records to find the owners, and then send out mailings from there.
Okay, so how do you, can everyone hear her still in the back okay? When you, tell us all how do you identify a property that's in distress?
Actually, it's kind of funny because I've found that I find fewer the more I go out and do it. When I was first going out, makes it sound like such a long time ago, but when I first started doing it, I'm like, oh look, that one has an air conditioning in the window, so it like automatically went on the list. But then as I've continued to go to do this, I've become a little bit more judicious. Okay, well also let me make sure that it doesn't have more than one metered unit, meaning that it hadn't already been broken down into condos. Let me look and see, let me drive around back if there's an alleyway. See, you know, sometimes they'll just fix the facade, but what does the back look like? Because that's going to, I think, maybe be a better indication of what's going on the inside too. So just trying to get a rounder picture.
So when you look up the information on the property record, what are you looking for?
I am, well, first and foremost, the owner and the owner address, as well as the recordation year. Because if they just bought it 2 years ago, they're probably not going to want to sell it. So I'll still include it on the list, just because I won't know it until I'm actually adding it. But then when I send out the mailing, I've filtered out everything. I only send to those from 2007 and before.
Okay. That's a great point. I was hoping you were going to say that. So if you guys are going to do driving for dollars, before you waste your time of sending out all these mailers, check what year the property was transferred. If it was transferred in the last 5 or 10 years, you're wasting your time for the most part. I mean, could they have inherited the property? Yes. But we've got to play the odds in this business, or pretty much any business. So make sure, I think we did an analysis in the last 18 months of how we looked at the last 200 properties that we bought, and I think that the person owned them for an average of about 20 years. So guess what? That's another criteria that you can do when you're buying a list, is you could buy a list of people who own their house for 20 years. You know, the equity isn't always perfect on these lists. To know equity, you've got to know their mortgage balance. Mortgage balances are tough to find, and not all these list providers have it. So as a backstop, if you did 15, 20, that they've owned the house for 25 years, there's a good chance that you're going to get a house with equity. Door knocking. Are you knocking on any of these doors?
I have, there have been some, but it's in the minority.
Okay, so door knocking could increase things, because when you're there, when you meet someone, you can talk to them, they can see that you're a real person. The other thing is, do you have door hangers?
I haven't done that.
Okay, so if you're driving around, you might as well have door hangers in your car. Go ahead and stick a door hanger on your car, again, explaining your services. I won't go into great detail with marketing, but essentially, you've got to talk to the emotional part of the transaction. People don't go out typically and buy stuff because there's an external need and there's an internal need. The external need is they want to sell their house, but the internal need is, this is the sellers that we buy from. I'm not talking about traditional seller. Why does someone want to sell their house? There's a number of reasons, but they all come down to emotions. They're embarrassed of the condition of their house. They're scared. They're nervous. They don't know what's going to happen. They're not going to be able to make their next payment. So you got to talk to those factors. We made this mistake for many, many, many years, and we just changed this in the last couple of months, of talking about everything that we do. No one cares about what you do. They care about how can you solve their problems. So you need to talk to them from an emotional standpoint of how you can solve their problems. So I bet you if you guys gave me your mailers, or I went on your website, and that's one of the things I'm going to be doing in the podcast, is we'll actually be pulling up websites. I'll be asking people to supply their direct mail pieces, all their collateral, and I'll break them down. And I guarantee you that most of the people are doing what we are, what we did for so many years, and that is trying to tell the seller how great we are. So they don't care about that. They care, how can you solve their problem? So door hangers would be great.
Can I ask a question? So what do y'all put on your own door hangers at this point?
We've gotten out of so many of those guerrilla roots marketing because we're doing it on such a mass level, and we hope to expand, regionally and then possibly nationally. So we're doing things that are easily replicatable around the country, so we don't do it. But the same thing that we would put on our website, the same thing that we put on a mailer, it's We understand that you're frustrated, you're scared. We don't really like to say embarrassed, because who wants to admit that? You need to talk to. We understand that you may be going through a difficult time if it's the probate person, and we can solve that frustration. So here's your problem, here's your internal problem, and here's where the solution is to it, and how we can make your life, how you can walk away. If you go to our website, you'll see a couple smiling. So people want to, when they approach you, they want to see what's the outcome for them. So you're not going to want to put, years ago, I had these stressed out people on a postcard, like at the table, like, oh my God, with a stack of bills, how am I going to pay my bills? People don't want to see that. They want to see what's going to happen after we do a transaction with you. We're going to be happy and dancing around the living room. That's what the picture of it looks like. So the next one you had was?
An inherited properties list for PG County.
Okay, inherited property list, PG County, great. So everything I've just said, make sure your marketing message is right. Make sure someone regular. You should be sending a minimum of 6 letters to these folks, and probably, again, just spacing them every 30 or 45 days. If you can do it, I like 30 days better. If you guys need to stretch your budget, it's not going to kill you to go out 45 days, but don't go out anymore. Don't go out 60 days. Don't go out 90 days. You need to be in front of these people when they're coming home and their car breaks.
Have a part 1, part 2.
Back. It says it's weak, but
You want to see if it's showing up on your computer? Can you guys let us know if you can see us or hear us on Facebook? Couldn't find it online? Oh, I put it on public. Go to, I think I'm Brad Chandler 1 or Brad.Chandler 1. But I put it, the settings were for public, so. Is it working? Is it actually, can you actually hear me or see me? Okay, all right, we're back in the great World Wide Web. So I completely lost, where were we?
We just talked about Craigslist.
Craigslist. So just repost. I was saying we have not had any luck with Craigslist, but look, guys, it's free, so you might as well try it. It is indexed by Google. So if you put the right keywords, sell my house fast, Bowie, sell my house fast, Prince George's County, there is a good chance that you can put a link. Can you put links on there back to your website?
No, but you can write out .com.
Okay. So there's a little secret. You can write out .com instead of .com, and it'll allow you to do that. And then.
Since I'm a realtor and have MLS access, I've also been doing that.
Okay, I'm glad. So the final thing she said was MLS offers, and you guys heard me beat up Joan and John on MLS offers. However, if you're going to make MLS offers, Valora is doing it the right way, and that is look for properties that have been on the market for a long time, that have had price reductions, and then lob in an offer. The worst they can say is no. Just like the person that's driving home and their car breaks down, they're like, I'm freaking fed up with it. You never know when you're going to catch these people. Just because the house is listed for $300,000 doesn't mean that they won't take $200,000. I hear so many people say, well, I'm not going to bid on that house because it's just listed too high. Well, who cares what it's listed at? Freaking just offer what is going to work for you guys. So don't just go make blanket offers on anything. Go and hunt down those properties that have been on the market forever, and then lob in an offer. Or call the agent. The agent's probably sick and tired of the person. Call the agent and say, hey, is there a reason this place is listed for 360 days? You guys would be so amazed. Remember the question I told you asked at the beginning, if you know anyone who wants to sell or buy a house? You can't believe the amount of information that some agents will give you. They will give you information that would probably cause them to get their license taken, but they still do. They might tell you that, look, agents have to get paid too, and they may be in a financial situation. They're like, I want to sell this house too. The seller is really motivated now, so maybe $200,000 will work. Ask them. What happens if I give a $200,000 offer? Well, we've had 10 offers at $250,000 and they've declined them all. If that's the case, then don't waste your time. But pick up the phone, call the agent, see if you can find some information out on them.
Actually, I got one accepted today.
You got one accepted today. All right, so there you go. So just forget everything I just said.
Yeah.
No. Tell us about the specifics of how you got it. How was it that you could buy a listed property?
There were several things that helped. One, I'm partnering with a company here that's they're more experienced investors. They also have deeper coffers than I do, and so it's a high value property. Like we ended up getting it today at 1.4. But the key thing about that is that it's a property that can be subdivided. Well, numbers wise, it can be subdivided. And so we put in a longer contingency period of 60 days so we can do some due diligence to see if the city actually can or will, and if architect, et cetera, feels like it can actually be done. So there's still some question marks about it. It hasn't closed yet. And so until that happens, it's not being counted just yet, but it's still that next step farther.
So guys, so I'm glad she said that because that really puts things in context. That is a development deal. We're not here to teach about development deals, nor are we here to teach about multi-million-dollar properties. Obviously, hope it works out for you. In the future, please bring us those deals. I don't know if you did. Did you present us that deal?
Not this particular one.
Okay.
No.
So you can see everything I said last time. This is a development deal. So she may get it. She may be paying close to market for it, and she and her investment partner are going to create the value through the development process. But unless you guys have a ton of money and you can lose a ton of money, you do not want to be doing development deals. We bought a house in North Arlington in 2005 where we lost $923,000 on it. We thought we could subdivide. We hired an engineering firm. They said, yes, you can subdivide. We went hard on a deposit. 6 months into the entitlement process, they go, hey, sorry, we messed up. You can't subdivide it. They could have pulled a title report for $75, and in 15 minutes they could have said, there's no way you can subdivide this property. We lost $923,000. We also bought 2 properties that same month, a multi-unit in Adams Morgan, and a house that we still own to this day, proudly, near the XM headquarters, 1 N Street. Well, we were so smart in 2005. We'd made so much money the first 5 months of 2005 that we were smarter than everyone in the world. So we figured we'll just do development deals. We'll buy this house and we'll put another level on. Well, guess what? DC didn't allow another level to be put on. So those 3 properties, we lost $3 million on. You guys saw my net worth to start. It wasn't like I called an uncle and said, hey, can you bail us out? We worked for free for many years because of development deals. So I'm here to teach you how to make money, and even more, I'm here to teach you how not to lose money. Do not do a development deal unless you've done them before, and/or you have an experienced partner that's going to put the money up and put it at risk, because it can be devastating. I mean, it could have completely wiped us out financially, and it could have been bad, but we obviously fought through it, and we're better for it to this day. It still pains me to say that, but whatever. All right, so we're going to finish up with you a couple things. So you're doing a lot of great things. What Valora's doing is she has a very targeted bunch of niche lists that are really good. You need to work them more. You need to do more phone calls. You need to stretch out the time that you're sending them the letters. What are you doing from a follow-up perspective once you get the folks on the phone? How are you following up with them?
For the last while, since there haven't been as many, I've mostly just been using Excel spreadsheet, but just this week I got Podio. So I'll be setting that up.
Did you buy like the base version of Podio, not all?
It was the one that was $24 a month.
Okay,
so.
$24 a month for Podio. Who can afford $24 a month? Podio, P-O-D-I-O. Now Podio is like buying a painting where it's just the canvas and you got to go paint it. So now she's gonna have to build out everything. Or you can go to Investor Fuse and everything's built out and it's a beautiful portrait ready to put over your fireplace, but it's going to be $200 a month. So $24 a month to possibly make thousands of dollars. We have such a great follow-up system now that last year alone, I think we closed 9 deals from just calling back missed phone calls. So you got, what's that?
I checked because I figured you were going to ask us 10.
So 10, sorry. So Tom just corrected me. We did 10 deals last year, average profit between $30,000 and $40,000. We did 10 deals from missed phone calls. So that's why you need a follow-up system, because when you start to generate a bunch of leads, there's no way in Excel spreadsheet you can effectively manage it. So great for you for getting the Podio. I was reading something that Frank Kern sent me today. Anyone know Frank Kern? Frank Kern's one of the top 10 kind of info marketer guys. He says, how many follow-ups you're doing, double them. He goes, you may get scared, you may not want to do it, but err on the side of following up too much with people than too little. Tom, how many times do we touch a lead in, say, the first 7 to 10 days?
We just did this the other day, didn't we?
Tom's thinking about it.
It's like 25.
25 touches of a lead in the first 7 to 10 days.
If we don't reach them.
If we don't reach them, of course. So, and I'm actually pushing Tom to do more than that. So you got to be all over these leads, because if you're not, someone else is going to be.
So just to clarify, you're calling them that many times?
So those 25 touches in 7 to 10 days are a combination of text, emails, phone calls, and voicemails. So hit them from all angles. And now Facebook, you can go look them up on Facebook. You can Facebook message them. You can look them up on LinkedIn. You can LinkedIn message them. If you're not getting in touch with them, get creative. Drive to their house, knock on their door, whatever you need to do. Look up their phone number. Zaba Search, ZABASEARCH. I don't know if you can type that in the comments right now. So we're going to be typing that in the comments right now, zabasearch.com, completely free, and you'll be amazed at how much information you can get from there. It's scary how much information is out there about everyone, but every piece of information you can ever imagine on yourself is out there somewhere. It's a little scary. So awesome job. I think you're heading in the right direction. So Valora is a brand new investor. She's doing a lot of right things. She's got a whole another couple steps to take in terms of follow-up, building out Podio. But continue doing the things. You've got to be consistency. And I promise you it will come. I can't tell you if it's going to come next week or 7 months from now, but it will come.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you so much. Great job. What time do we have, guys? 8:13. Okay. Are you guys up for one more? Okay. Who wants to come up?
Well, I was raising my hand, but they touch a lot of my concerns too.
Okay.
So I don't want to.
Okay. Are there any questions in Facebook land? For those of you who sit down again. I'm too tall. For those of you guys in Facebook land, that if you're coming late, I've been a part of 5,000 real estate transactions and have bought over 2,000 houses, and I'm here to share free information as we do every month at our Wholesale Meetup. So if you guys have any questions that you think would be good for yourself and for the group, please post them, and Tom will relay them to me and we'll answer them. Anything to do with real estate investing, marketing, follow-up, valuing deals, renovating deals. Yes, sir.
You mentioned touching them on Facebook and stuff. Just be careful with that, because Facebook likes to bring Facebook jail and watch you from doing anything.
Okay, so the gentleman just said be careful on how much you do on Facebook, because they'll block you. I don't know if they still have this feature, but in the last 2 years, a couple of times I reached out to sellers. I had to pay $1 to get into their inbox. Is that gone now? So there may be a paid option.
I'll come over here and we can get some.
If anyone wants to raise their hand and come up, do it at any time. In the meantime, we'll just start fielding some questions.
So Adam asks on Facebook Live, what's our strongest marketing avenue for seller leads?
So strongest avenue for seller leads is direct mail. For years and years and years, we toyed around direct mail and didn't have success with it. And it wasn't until we started, number one, doing consistent follow-up, consistent mailings. We'll hit a list now 6 months and we'll get a new list. We actually have a list where we'll buy high equity. We do equity on list source between 50 and 100%. And then we also do the other category, because you don't know what's in there. You don't know if they have 1% equity or 100% equity. And then we actually have hooked up with a data analytics person who will take that list and say, here, mail to the top 20%. He's exclusive in areas, so this area is completely gone. But look, we did it for years without those, and many people around the country are. Just do some of the criteria that I told you to do, and it's more about your message and your consistency than it is about having a data analytics expert behind you. So just do high equity, own for at least 20 years, 15 years. You can toy around with absentee owners, you can toy around with owner occupant, but just have a good message that doesn't talk to the seller about how great you are, because no one cares about how great you are. Talk to one of the famous marketers said, put yourself in the head of the conversation that prospect is having at the time. So if you're at home or at work, whatever, and you are stressed out about your house because the roof is leaking, water's coming in, you don't have the money to repair it, you're facing foreclosure, you just inherited a house, think about the thoughts. Put yourself in their shoes and say to yourself, what would I be thinking? And then when you write that marketing message, put yourself right in that conversation. Michael.
Yeah, when you, follow one question, one point you just made, when you get a new list for a whole new area, you move on to a new area, or you just refresh that list?
So his question, Michael's question was, do we move on to a whole new area or do we just refresh the list? No, you guys should all be, you guys should be focusing on one target area or multiple target areas and then just doing that, refreshing the list every 6 months. Buy a new list from the list company or the broker, whoever you're buying it from.
Okay.
So Adam has another good question for us. How do you create such a strong brand and online presence?
Wow, spend millions of dollars and do it for 13 years is the quick answer. Building a brand is tough. Literally, we have spent over $10 million in TV advertising building a brand. We are probably less than 1% of people in this country in terms of brand building. Most people don't have a brand. You don't need a brand. If you want to build a colossal company, then you do need a brand, but don't focus on building a brand right now. Focus on making money. How do you build a presence online? You do everything that we're doing. What are we doing? We're doing Facebook ads. We're doing Facebook non-ads. We're doing Google pay-per-click. We're doing Bing pay-per-click. We're doing Yahoo pay-per-click. We do retargeting. So when someone comes to our site, they get retargeted. They get followed around on the internet through both Google and I think Bing and Facebook. So if someone comes to our page, Facebook puts a pixel. That's what it's like a cookie. That's on our site. So Facebook knows someone's come to our site. And then in their Facebook feed, we'll serve them up ads about selling their house. And consistency, that's another really good answer. We don't just do this for a month and say this isn't working. We do it month after month after month. For those of you guys sitting here saying, I don't even know what Google pay-per-click is, I don't have the money, if you go back to my original, the first couple meetups on expresshomebuyers.com/category/wholesales, it talks about the steps that you need to take and what things you should be doing if you don't have a huge budget. Number one thing is get a follow-up system. Valora says she just got Podio for $24 a month. If you can't afford $24 a month, use an Excel spreadsheet for the time being. But have a follow-up system, and then I think the second thing I would do, again, depending on how much money, I would probably go out and get a seller website, which you can get now between $50 and $100. You guys have heard me for years rant about On Carrot. They're great, awesome, awesome, awesome. I think they're $49 to $99. And On Carrot, and can you type that into the comments now? I think it's just On Carrot. Yeah, it's oncarrot.com. They're awesome. And then, so you've got your follow-up system, you've got internet, you've got your website, and then I would focus on bandit signs and direct mail. Then when you get some money, then you reinvest into things like driving people to the website through pay-per-click advertising. Pay-per-click is just when you type where to find red shoes on the top of Google, you'll see 3 sponsored ads, actually now 4 because they got rid of the right column. Those are pay-per-click. People are paying and bidding for that real estate, and it can become very expensive. We're into the tens of thousands of dollars on that, so we have just a huge online presence. Michael had one question. Let's answer Michael's question, then we'll go back.
I got a call, visited a homeowner in her house, inspected the house, listened to her stories, made an offer on her house on Friday, early afternoon. Late afternoon, I followed up with an email to her, thanking her for letting me see the house. Again, I reiterated my offer. It was low. She wanted to think about it. It's been the weekend plus today. What's my next follow-up message to her?
Okay, so Michael said that he met with the seller. He had a good conversation with her, met at the house. He presented the offer. She said that she wanted to think about it. And Michael's question is, what the heck do I do now?
I think that really depends on what did you say when you left. Because depending on what you said after you met with her is going to determine what would make sense to say next.
Well, the house is in a very big need of repair.
But in terms of like follow-up,
What was the message
did
you
you
said
tell
when you
her,
left
like she said, I wanted to think about it for a few days, and you said, sure, sounds great.
And I did not say would it be okay if I called you back on Monday? I did not say that.
Would you do the
But,
takeaway there?
It was left open, so.
You could do a couple different things. You could, you really just want to set a next step. So, hey, that's great. Totally understand you want to think about it. I would do the same thing. How about we talk Monday? How's noon sound? Like, get really specific time so that they know, and then you could have a reason to follow up. So without setting that, we talked about before where there's these advanced agreements where you set, this is the stage of what's going to happen next. You put yourself in a difficult position, so now you're going to be chasing, and she likely may just avoid you since there wasn't that commitment from her.
So we did a whole meetup group on that. One of the things that we are great at doing is you set proper expectations up front, and then each party knows exactly what's going to happen. When you get to the house, you set those same proper expectations, and then you actually say what's going to happen at the end of the meeting, and then depending what happens, then you say, okay, here are the next steps. So now he's in a jam. Now a couple things he could do.
You want to create some urgency. Hey, Miss Seller, this is assuming like you don't reach her. Hey, just trying to get a hold of you. Just wanted to, touch base to see where things are at. I have another house that I'm looking at in the neighborhood. I only have money to buy, one house this month. I'd really love to buy yours. If you don't want to sell me yours, hey, that's okay, no problem. But if you could just let me know either way, something like that could work.
Guys, if you can hit like and share on Facebook, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if there's tons of questions are we getting to them all? Or if there's any other questions, if we don't get to the questions by the time we wrap up, just continue posting them, and we will answer every single Facebook question in the next 10 hours, 24 hours.
Yeah, Adam had another question. It's a long one. He's got some good questions. What is your sales and follow-up process with sellers?
So we spent an entire 60 minutes going over that.
What is the URL? expresshomebuyers.com/
category/wholesalers. So he can look. We have that all documented. So just tons and tons and tons of follow up. There's a hand that went up. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Juan, and I have been getting a lot of leads. I use Real eFlow to automate all my mailings, and for some reason, I don't know if their lists are that way, but I've been getting a lot of people who are in bankruptcy, and I've been getting some responses, but it seems like a lot of the motivated sellers call me when they have a auction date sale, and it's really short. So I don't really have a lot of leverage because it's either they are underwater, and I've tried negotiating with the bank, but they don't want to sell to me even for the price higher than what they're going to sell at an auction, because it happened to me with the seller that I made an offer to the bank, and the house sold at auction at a lower price than what I was offering.
That's ridiculous.
And I've been hitting a lot of sellers in the same situation. I haven't been able to get a deal because of that.
So Juan is finding that a lot of sellers, he's using a program that I haven't heard of, eFlow, that I guess pulls a list and does direct mail for you. And he's getting a lot of people in bankruptcy and a lot of people who are close to their auction date, and the banks aren't willing to negotiate. So one, I would say you probably need to change your lead source. Number two, he did mention that they ended up selling at auction for less than his offer price, which is maddening and makes 0 sense. I don't get it. Never have, never will get it. So there's no answer to that. However, we have bought houses in as little as 22 hours from the time the person called us to the time that they closed. This was a property probably 4 or 5 years ago in Herndon. So you said you actually lose leverage. You can actually gain some leverage if the auction date is close. You just have to find those properties with equity. So you're dealing with properties that the bank has to take a short sale, which means that they've got to take less than their mortgage amount, and banks just aren't doing that now. They would, as Juan just said, time and time again, they end up going to auction and they sell for less. Does it make sense? No. Did it make sense when they made $1 trillion worth of loans that were upside down? No. Banks don't make a lot of sense. So there's no real answer to that. If you have a list that is continuing to produce consistent results that are poor and don't fit the category, which is equity, if these folks don't have equity, there's nothing you can do. then you need to change your marketing source. Stop direct mail with that list, get another list, and then continue to do online presence, bandit signs, that type of thing.
On your marketing, what do you use to analyze your rate of return, specifically with direct mail?
So what was your name?
Laura.
Laura's question was, what do we use to measure our rate of return on direct mail? So we have a tracking system. We use Infusionsoft, and then we also have our own proprietary software that we've created over the last year. So it measures response rates, and then we look at cost per lead, and then we look at cost per deal.
And what's your percentage that you that's, for example, if we buy into a zip code and we work it for 12 months, and what is a good percentage of return, I guess you could say, to say either, okay, this is a good zip code, or it's not, or move on, or refresh, or something?
So her question was, if she mails into a zip code, what's a good criteria to look at to say whether the direct mail campaign was a success or not? So we don't look so much in percentages. We look at it as one, as a cost per deal, and two, are we spending $1 and making $4, $5, $6, $7? So that's the way we look at it. I can tell you, decent direct mail returns can be anywhere from 4x to 10x. So again, you spend $1, you should be getting gross profit back in somewhere between 4 and 10. Some people get higher than that. Some people get up to 15, but it's probably with a highly, highly targeted list. So did that answer your question?
Over a span of a year, or are you talking monthly?
It just depends. It doesn't matter. Like if you want to look at it on a monthly basis or yearly basis, daily basis. If I can spend $1 today and get $4 back, I'll do it. If I can spend $1, over a year and get $4 back, I'm fine. It's just really, the number of the multiple of what you're spending in terms of what you're getting in.
And there's a little bit more to it too. I mean, you could have a great list, but if your copy's awful, then so I would ask you, what are you doing? Are you testing your list? We're always running 2 tests at every time we mail, so that you have a basis, you have your control, and then you have your test, and then every time we see that the test is performing better than the control, then we have a new control, and then we do a new test. So I think that's something that's important. We had experience, years past, where we would do direct mail for 2 months, we wouldn't get any deals, and then we'd stop because we didn't think it worked. But it could have been the frequency, it could have been the message, there's a lot of factors. So I would just be very careful to say, oh, it's not working, or my rates, I'm not getting the same conversion rate. There's a lot of factors. You really have to dig into it.
Yeah, if you guys, I'd say if you're sending out any more than probably 1,000 minimum, and it's not going to cost you that much more to split them up in groups, to 500, just try a different message. Try different headline. It's what the great online marketers do all the time. It's what all great marketers do. They're always testing. It's a little more complicated when you don't have a lot of money. I wasn't testing back in the day. I just sent one letter. But as you, if you can, now with technology costs and printing costs, it doesn't cost a whole lot more money to chop them up. Try 2 different messages, just slightly varying it, and see what happens. And then do it for 3 months. If you get one winner, sometimes it's just not enough. Try it 2 or 3 months and see if that continues. Because a lot of times what happens when you do a test online or in the publication in the direct mail world, you see an initial spike, and then you get all excited. But what happens over time is it comes back to the control group. So do it for a couple months.
And I have a great CRM, and right now I basically just have one phone number, but it provides unlimited extensions for the purpose of analyzing your marketing, or if you have burn downs or whatever the case is.
Right.
And I guess I haven't gone into breaking it down to extensions to do tests for the marketing, but some kickback that I've heard from other investors is you don't want the client to be having to pound more numbers than just the 10 numbers that they have to do already. How do you feel about extensions?
So her question was, she has a great CRM, and what is the CRM? REI Black Book, yep. Damon is a buddy of mine. He owns that company. Damon produces our REI Black Book, gives the option to do extensions, And the reason for extensions is you can get a better tracking of your different marketing mediums. So if she's going to do those postcards, the only way she's going to know if it works or not is by having different phone numbers. If you have the same phone number, how do you know if the test works? So I would not be a fan of extensions. I would be a bigger fan. We probably have 100 different 800 numbers. So I would definitely put a number on there. And again, numbers are so cheap now rather than the extension. I kind of agree with them. It's called friction. Anytime the person has to fill out an extra form, if you got a website and they've got to click a button to call you, or they got to click a button to get to the form, it's friction and you're losing people. So none of your websites should have buttons on your home page. It should have the form right there, the phone number right there. Remove all friction because they're just going to go to the next person. Any other good questions on there?
We had one earlier, but Greg, I think it's a good question just for the folks here. Greg addressed it already, but someone said, hey, what are things to consider when finding a hard money lender? Fees, rates, timing of funds, reputable company, anything else? Greg answered it for us. So a couple things that...
So a question on finding hard money lenders.
Just look into their approval process. Find out if they ask for any money up front. We've heard from time and time again where someone put up, X amount of dollars only to get denied. So it's almost like a game where some of the lenders are just there to collect your fees, and they're never going to approve your loan. So just make sure you talk to someone like Washington Capital Partners that we know really well. They actually have a lot of people that come to them because they don't have good experience other places. Also,
so don't ever give money up front on a hard money loan. No reputable hard money lender is going to ask you for money up front.
And really, Greg made a great point. Find out about the draw process and how they find construction money. Nothing worse could happen than you got a deal, you buy it, you think you have this loan, and then your money's locked up and you can't renovate the house and you run into issues. So
I would also add that just like with anything, ask for referrals and talk to people who have done business with them and find out, check the Better Business Bureau. Nowadays, put if it's ABC Hard Money Lender, do ABC Hard Money Lender reviews. Check around. I mean, there's plenty of reputable hard money lenders out there to not get stuck with one. Laura, I'm going to come back to you. Let me ask. Yes, ma'am. Can you, just 1 second. I was going to ask her.
When you talk about no money up front, what do you mean by money?
So her question was, what the heck do I mean when I say don't give money up front to hard money lender? No, that is strictly before you're even approved. These hard money lenders are asking for money, and then before you're even approved, and then they're taking your money and saying you're not approved. Sorry, it's a non-refundable application fee. It's just crap. Like if you went to Wells Fargo for a home loan, you're going to sit down with a consultant and they're going to say, give me $1,000. No way. So if they don't do it, hard money lenders, shouldn't do it.
Frank wants to know your address. He said he needs to mail you some socks.
What's wrong with my socks? I like really bright ones, bright blue, pink, whatever. Ma'am? Sugar CRM is one of them. Zoho CRM is another really great one for like $20 a month. Who's Frank?
Frank Hollow.
Oh, all right, I'll take it. Laura, what was your question?
Yeah, I use ListSource, and I'm wondering, even though I do have a good group for buyers, cash buyers, but is there anything online, such as ListSource, that you guys use or that we can purge for cash buyers?
For cash buyers, so good source of cash buyers. Wow, I took a while. I need to turn that into a blog post because I actually put together a couple pages of notes from all around the internet on how to find cash buyers. So I will commit in the next 30 days to do a blog on how to find cash buyers and mail it out. How do we find cash buyers?
Wait a second. We're sitting here. They're sitting right here.
Yeah. So that's the number one source is to call us. We're cash buyers. And like we said earlier, if we can't get the price that you want, then we can also push it out to our cash buyers. But realtors are a great source. Find Cash Buyers Now is a source. The list providers, like you said, is a source. Realtors can actually go pull you a list of cash transactions that have happened in the neighborhood in the last 18 days or 18 months or whatever. But yeah, all joking aside, we started this Meetup group to one, give back, but to also teach you guys how to find deals so we could do deals together. So if you guys have any deals, big or small, please run them by us. We've spent a lot of hours and a lot of time. I've got 2 kids at home now waiting for daddy to come home, and I'm here, talking with you guys because I really want to make this work and help you guys out. So everyone's done a great job of keeping questions real succinct. We'll take a couple more, just, if you can ask your question really quickly so we can get, because the folks online can't hear, so we'll just, yes, sir.
If I find a vacant houses and I figure out it's owned by a bank, how do I figure out if it's worth chasing? What do I do?
So what's your name?
Mike.
Mike's question was, if he finds a vacant house owned by the bank, what does he do, and is it worth it? This is just my opinion, because I've tried to work this angle too sometimes. It's very, very tough. Juan, you heard what Juan said earlier. These banks are like trying to get through to the White House. They're very, very difficult. When you get through to them, you've got to get to the correct asset manager. They've got a process that they go through. 9 times out of 10, if you get to the right person, you'll probably be told that it's not the time to buy. They're not accepting offers. They're going to put it on the market, because they have this magical thinking that they're going to list this property and get more money than if you came along and bought it 6 months or 18 months before they actually sell it. So I don't have a good answer. If I was coaching you, I would say, if you see, actually, if we were talking about driving for dollars, one of the things I would have said was, if you come across a vacant house and you look in the land records and it's owned by a bank, freaking move on. I mean, prove me wrong, and come back and tell me, and I'll be the first to admit it. But it's tough. It's just ridiculously tough. You have to wait, yeah. You have to wait, and you don't know if they've wrote it off, and it's a nightmare. It's just one of those things where it's just not worth your time. Any other questions on there? Any other questions? Any other questions from the crowd?
On the Pat Live, you just captured the minimal amount of information. You haven't talked to him for a while. How much do you use Pat Live? How much information do you get?
So, what's your name? Cal? Kelly. Kelly's question was, when we use Pat Live, which is our answering service, for those folks who are just joining us, the phone, on any incoming lead that we get, if it's not answered in our office between 3 and 4 rings, it rolls over to Pat Live. We have a pretty simple script that Pat Live asks, and it really is just contact information. Hey, we're here to gather some quick information. They're not sales experts. They're really, they're telemarketers. They're operators. So just take the minimum information. Make sure that the call isn't sitting there forever. Make sure that the people are, if you don't go with Pat Live and you go with someone else, test them periodically. Call in and act like you're a seller. And make sure that they're polite, they're asking the right questions, that type of thing. But just don't get into a motivation, a lot of that type of stuff.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right here. It's just contact information, asking price, mortgage balance, is it listed, how long they've owned it, what their time frame to sell is, where you found the number that they called us on for just tracking purposes. And just any comments. So we have a box in there so that if they tell them something, because every call is going to be different, that the folks at Pat Live are good enough to be able to engage on a conversation.
Can you explain what you mean by we have a box in there?
Yeah, so there's just a big text box where they can just type a paragraph. So a lot of times there's nothing in there. Sometimes there may be some information in there that's helpful for us, and our guys just check it out before they call. I would say whatever call center or service or VAs, whoever you're using, you just want to make sure that you are going back and checking the calls and seeing how long it's taking to pick up, and just to make sure that you don't forget anything.
Do you guys know why we ask if the property's listed? I couldn't hear anyone. So the reason is because it's a way to prioritize. If the property's listed, we know that 99 times out of 100 we're not buying it. So we quickly call them and say, hey, we typically don't buy listed properties, because most of the time people list properties, they're looking for full market value and they don't mind paying the realtor commissions. Flora, I think your hand was up next. Did you have a quick question?
Two-part. One about the scripts. Are those something that y'all would be willing to share?
So she asked if we are willing to share our scripts, and we actually have shared them. They're on the Facebook group. So when you guys go tonight, tomorrow to Facebook and go to Express Homebuyers Wholesaling Meetup, and we accept you because you've been here. For those of you guys online, just pop on a plane and come see us next month, and we'll give them to you. And your second part of the question?
Can you walk us
So once we get our information back from Pat Live, our answering service, what do we do there? They're now into our funnel, and everyone needs to have a funnel. And the funnel is just, like I said earlier, we're on them 25 times in the first 7 to 10 days with text, emails, voicemail, and phone calls.
So you don't use Pat Live to reach back out?
No, the call center does not reach back out to them. We do that.
Just to reiterate what Brad said, so if you are here and Alex got your info, you can go on the Facebook group, and on the group, just to show, I mean, you probably can't see it on here, I searched call script, and you guys can't see it, but
There's a little search box right there.
there's a search box up at the top, and you can see it right there. So those of you that aren't here, that if you were here, you could see this is the information that you'd have through our call script that we use every day. You'd have access to it, but you guys don't get it since you didn't show up.
Kathy, you had a question?
Yes, so so Pat Lives takes this phone call. How do you get the info? Do they call you, text you, send you an email? Do they put it directly into your CRM?
So Pat Live, her question was, how do we get the information from our call center? They actually enter it on a form on our website, so it goes right into our CRM, so it kicks off the whole autoresponder and the whole campaign. Again, you guys go set up Sugar CRM or Zoho. They have that technology. You just literally take a form code and stick it on there. I mean, again, like a VA for $4.50. Like, it's so easy that some of those guys some of those men and women have the ability to do that. So it's not that complicated. Yes, sir.
On your group that you have there, at the top should be a link that says files, and that'll show you all the files that have been posted in your group.
Okay, so we just learned something. At the top of our Facebook page, there's a button called Files, and it shows, what's it under?
It's right next to search this group.
So right next to search this group, there's files. Thank you so much for that tip, and it will show all the files. So we have repair estimate worksheets in there. We have scripts.
Let me see if I can get this in here.
We have all kinds of stuff. Juan, yes, sir.
You guys are missing this.
Is there a way that if you have a seller who had already signed a contract and they want to back out of the deal, how do you enforce that?
So a seller, the question was from Juan, if we're in a deal with a seller and they back out of a contract, how do we enforce it? So it's on a case-by-case basis. We have walked away from a bunch and we've pursued a bunch. We've had some success and we've gotten crushed in some. So it's really a case-by-case basis. But if you've got a legal binding contract and you have done everything that you've said, you by right have enforcement of that contract. So you would get an attorney involved and most likely file a lis pendens on the property, and then eventually it's going to go in front of a judge, and the judge is going to rule should you be buying the house or not. But if you are a new investor, my advice would be to attempt to close, but don't spend a lot of money doing it because it can get very, very costly, and sometimes you'll lose money even if you do get the house.
That's what my lawyer told me. So.
Okay, yeah, it was probably good advice.
How much is your earnest money?
How much is our earnest money when
When you do go out to sell,
when we're buying a property? What is our earnest money?
$300 to $500. We'll do up to 1% if they ask for more.
So 300 to 500, up to 1% on an earnest money deposit. We don't do it, but there are ways you can actually do a note in lieu of an earnest money deposit, and that is actually legal, and we've been told by our attorneys would hold up in court, so you don't have to come up with any money. I personally don't think it shows good faith or gives a lot of credibility to you if you have to sign a note for the deposit, because you're trying to convince these folks that you have the money to buy their place, but you don't have enough money to come up with $500,000, then it'll certainly put some red flags up, so I would not advise that.
And there's been cases where we're in a super competitive situation, and if we were making an MLS offer, we'd be doing a lot more than 1% because we wouldn't stand out. But again, I wouldn't do like $1 or anything like that. Make it a little bit, but it doesn't have to be as much as you would think. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a relationship with the title company to help confirm that the person who signed the contract with you is the person who is either ready to sell the contract, and are you always prepared with the contract when you want them to do it?
Do we, two-part question, do we have a relationship with the title company that ensures that the person who's signing is actually the person? And secondly, do we always have a contract when we walk in the door? The second answer is hell yeah. Of course we do. We're not going to go to a house. We go to a house because we've already talked to them, and then decision makers are going to be there, and we're ready to sign up that house. So absolutely, if you go to a house without a contract, shame on you. The first part of the question was, do we have a title company? Yes, we have a title company. I would highly advise you to make sure that you find an investor-friendly title company that understands real estate investing. However, we have used title companies that have not done their job, and the seller wasn't really the seller. We've done, like I said earlier, 2,100 transactions, and it's happened to us less than, I think it's happened three or four times. And ironically, or I don't know if that's the right word, unfortunately, I think most of those were with one title company. So needless to say, we're not using them anymore, but just make sure, just like anything else, get references, check with other investors. We actually use right now Universal Title. They have several offices around. They're good with investors, and then there's several. That shouldn't be an issue.
So what qualifies as an investor-friendly title?
What qualifies as an investor-friendly title company? Just call them, ask them, do you deal with investors? Our deals are always very hairy. By hairy, I mean there are title issues, there are judgments, there are liens, there are heirs that are in prison in California, there are people with drug addictions, there are people with mental issues, and I guarantee you some title companies are just like, I don't want your business. So you just ask around, just like anything else. Any others on there? Guys, I think we're going to wrap up. All right, we'll take one or two more questions. Yes? Where do we buy properties? Right now, we're buying in the D.C. metro, and we do some investing in Baltimore as well. So Maryland, Virginia, and D.C.
So you would buy anything outside the state?
Right now, no, we're not. But I have quite a large network. I've got probably 80% of the United States covered right now with people that I know personally. So if you have a deal, let me know. Put it through our site, and then put a special note that, hey, I was in the meetup in Brad City and investors all over, and I'll pass it along, and then we'll come up with some share. Because the people that I have are like the top of the top, so it's not going to be some newbie investor that I'm handing that doesn't know. We'll get it closed if it's a deal.
Wasn't there one that just happened like last week?
Are you talking about through the mastermind group?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got a lead actually in some rural town, South Carolina. Gave it to him, and he gave us 25% of the profit. So next week we're going to get a $4,800, $4,900 check. So we could definitely share that if you guys have leads from outside of the area. All right, guys, great meeting. In closing, again, if you are I don't want to get these websites confused. Can you put those back up there? Oh, they're right there. So if you guys are interested in future real estate training by me personally, I'm probably not going to always do it personally, but we're certainly going to start out probably the first year of doing real estate training. Go to bradchandler.com. If you're interested in free real estate coaching on our upcoming podcast, go to expresshomebuyers.com/free-coaching. And depending on how popular it is, we may do once a week, we may do twice a week, we may do once a month. So if you want free coaching, very similar to the hot seats that we went on earlier. So if you're just joining this Facebook Live conversation or video, go back to about 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in. We had some folks in the hot seat. That's the same format that our podcast is going to have. You're going to learn a ton. We're going to give you actionable items to take. And then hopefully there'll be some success, and we'll have you on in future months telling the whole world about your success. And then finally, if you have any wholesale deals, you can submit them at expresshomebuyers.com/submit deal. And then finally, we have tons of deals on ehbdeals.com. If you're in the local DMV market and looking for an investment property fixer-upper, we also are going to be putting close to 70 occupied rental units on that site in the coming weeks. So go sign up. If you're a realtor, make sure you sign up because you can help your investor clients. And if you like this video, please share it. Again, we spend a lot of time here for really nothing, no money that is. So please, if you can, do your part and share it. We'd love to ask for 1 or 2 or 3 seller testimonial videos outside. Seller testimonials. So I got seller in my head. If you guys thought this was good and you'll raise your hand just for me to ask you 3 or 4 questions about the meetup so we can kind of promote it. And then if you like the meetup, you'll probably get a message saying, hey, did you like this meetup? If you do like it, please rate us a 5 and put a nice comment, share it on Facebook. If you didn't like it for some reason, come talk to us and say, hey, how can we improve this? People in Facebook land, we are here to serve you guys. So I don't even know what next meeting is going to hold. We may do something similar. We may do something completely different. But if you guys would post something and say, hey, we really want to know about this topic, we'll present it to you. We'll let you know. And I had one other thought. Getting back to the Facebook group, guys. Again, use it. It's a free resource. Go to Express Homebuyers Wholesaling Meetup on Facebook. When you have questions, when you're struggling with a seller, you don't know what to do, post it on Facebook. Don't private message me. Don't email me. Put it on Facebook so we can share, because I'm sure if you're going to ask that question, someone else is going to ask the question too. Awesome meeting. Thanks everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Do a panel on crowd? Thanks, guys.